The 2026 election season is officially underway after several Texas primary races made headlines across the state and around the nation. Coming up, we'll take a look at the results of a couple of races that could impact everything from Washington, D.C. to Lubbock.
Spring break is coming up fast, and several campus groups are packing the event calendar with options before students leave for the break. Find out how Red Raiders can focus on their future, create a lucky keepsake, or even help out the local community.
And the Lady Raider basketball team officially kicked off their postseason schedule today in Kansas City with hopes of bringing home some conference hardware. We'll take the latest highlights and score from round 1 of the Big 12 tournament, along with a preview of another busy weekend for Tech athletics in sports.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Elene Khajishvili.
And I'm Pedro Gonzalez. This past Tuesday, people around the United States headed out to the polls for the first round of the 2026 midterm elections.
The March 3rd primary election gave residents around the country, including here in Lubbock, the chance to select the Republican and Democrat candidates who will compete for the dozens of races to be decided later this spring. In Texas, the race that is generating the most interest is for one of the state's 2 Senate seats. On the Republican side, incumbent John Cornyn faced off against Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton in a heated race. Late Tuesday night, the results showed that Cornyn won the vote with just under 42% of the total ballots cast. But in Texas, candidates must win 50% of the vote in the primaries, forcing a runoff with Paxton, who received just under 41% of the vote. The Democratic primary was of more interest to many people, especially since the top 2 candidates stopped by the Hub City just over a week ago. James Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett were both vying for the spot, even though the tally was relatively close. Tallarico received 52.4% of the vote, securing his spot in the midterm election. Locally, the races of most interest to many West Texas voters was for the Republican and Democrat candidates battling for the chance to take over the vacant U.S. House District 19 seat. The Democratic side was uncontested, with Kyle Rabel automatically advancing to the midterm election. But on the Republican side, a field of 7 candidates prevented front-runner Tom Sell from claiming victory on Tuesday. Sell received 40% of the vote, pushing the race to a runoff. Once the votes were counted, Sell's runoff competitor was finally revealed after Abraham Enriquez captured 18.8% of the vote. Candidate Matt Smith came in third with 18.5%, with less than 200 votes separating Enriquez and Smith. Along with Tuesday's statewide primaries, Texas Tech Student Government Association also held their annual elections on Tuesday. The results for each of the executive candidate positions and student senate seats are expected to be announced tomorrow evening in the sub.
Midterms and the upcoming spring break holiday is on the minds of most Red Raiders right now, but some students are thinking ahead to the summer and even their future beyond Texas Tech. And for those forward thinkers, a stop by the sub this week may have helped to put their minds at ease. On Tuesday, the Career Center hosted the first ever Service and Impact Career Fair in the Sub Ballroom. The inaugural event was created by combining the summer camp and nonprofit job fairs, which are traditionally held separately in the spring. Representatives from a dozen nonprofit organizations and summer camps were available to visit with students. Attendees had the chance to learn about various opportunities to either volunteer, expand their resume, or even find a first job after graduation. Wednesday event ended up at 2 p.m., but if you did not make it and are still interested in opportunities coming up this summer or beyond, the University Career Center is here to help. For more information on all resources available through the UCC, visit careercenter.ttu.edu.
St. Patrick's Day falls during spring break this year, but some students could use the luck of the Irish a little early, with midterms ending before the holiday even begins. Luckily, one campus group decided to celebrate a little early with an opportunity for students to walk away with a special keepsake. On Tuesday, the Student Activities Board, along with the help of the Charm Bar by Anna, hosted a Lucky Charms event at the sub. Students could stop by between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. and create their own charm bracelets for free. The bracelets ranged from shiny gold and silver with a variety of charms, such as zodiac signs, letters, instruments, and more. While waiting in line, attendees could also grab a small goodie bag filled with chapstick, SAP swag, and even gold-wrapped chocolate coins. SAP regularly hosts events to get students more involved and reduce stress during the semester. The events are organized by SAB members, and the group is always looking for more Red Raiders to come and be a part of the fun.
Usually we have applications open at the beginning of January and the beginning of August, or it's like beginning of the semesters really. But it's really fun. You go through a little process where you get to kind of meet us, and then you have what we call as group interviews, where you get to kind of like socialize, meet a bunch of new people, and we play a lot of fun games with each other. It's really good to make connections with us, which is fun.
Lucky Charms finished up on Tuesday afternoon, but the Student Activities Board has a few more events on the schedule next week before classes end for spring break. For more information on future events and how to get involved, visit sab.ttu.edu or search for Texas Tech SAB on Facebook and Instagram.
Here on campus, fun activities offer one option to escape from the stress of midterm exams and projects, but several groups are also offering opportunities to take their mind off the studies while giving back to the local community. One of those groups is the Office of Intercultural Education and Engagement. Yesterday, the IAE invited any student to stop by the Student Enrichment Center for a service opportunity, totes, and hot topics. Encourage Red Raiders to come inside the SEC, grab a canvas bag, and decorate it for Children's Advocacy Center of Lubbock. The Children's Advocacy Center is a nonprofit group that brings together community resources to help victims of child abuse and trauma. The tote bags decorated during Wednesday's event will be given to the center to be distributed to local kids. And while students used their creativity for a good cause, they were also given the chance to enjoy some food and hot topic conversations. IEE isn't the only group offering a service opportunity this week. The Student Activities Board also offered Red Raiders the chance to help out in the Lubbock community by building a flower bed at Leafwich Park earlier today.
The Lubbock area is currently experiencing drought conditions due to unusually warm temperatures and dry weather. But this week, we've actually experienced a bit more humidity than usual.
That humidity led to somewhat unusual weather phenomena that created a little more difficult commute to work and school around the area. Right around sunrise, a thick fog settled in across the hub city. The fog reduced visibility, causing drivers to be more cautious, especially if they were coming in from outside the city. The fog lasted a few hours until cleared off a little bit before 9 a.m., but the humidity is still higher than normal, setting the stage for some different conditions that will affect the area later today.
So what chances are on the way this evening? MCTV's chief weather specialist Elisabeth Herring joins us in the studio with the details in today's MCTV forecast. Elizabeth?
Thank you, Elena. Yeah, if you were out early this morning, they're heading to class or traveling to work, I'm sure you ran into some of that heavy fog across the South Plains area. Most of today has looked like this, relatively cloudy, very few pockets of sunshine, and we also have a chance for severe weather later this evening and overnight as well. Here in Lubbock, we are at a slight risk for severe weather. Some of those northern counties in the enhanced risk, but all of the South Plains at least seeing some sort of severe weather risk this evening. And the risk includes tornadoes, large hail, high winds, and heavy rain. Heavy rain is going to be on a lower risk, but the most possible is going to be high winds, large hail. Tornadoes also a little bit more slim, but we're really going to be watching those winds and watching out for hail later this afternoon, with some storms moving in later this evening around 6 o'clock, especially off that Caprock area. And that's going to kind of taper off, of course, not zero chance of rain, but we also have another chance of rain moving in on Saturday. But overall, chances of rain remain pretty slim, mostly just clouds here and there across the South Plains. Wind, of course, is going to be our biggest factor off the Caprock, with Snyder hitting gusts up to 51 miles per hour later this evening. Here in Lubbock, gusts in the lower 30s for this evening, and then kind of sticking around, tapering off, and then coming right back tomorrow afternoon with gust 30s across the South Plains. And as we head into Saturday, that wind does stick around and it remains fairly breezy for our Saturday. Tonight, lows across the South Plains area quite mild, lower 60s off the Caprock, and then 50s and some upper 40s for those northern counties. And then tomorrow, highs relatively warm for this time of year, highs in the upper 80s off the Caprock, and then 70s for everyone else tomorrow. Tonight, low of 56 here in Lubbock. tomorrow, warming up to 80 degrees, so pretty unseasonably warm day tomorrow. As we head into our weekend, Saturday, 63, and then Sunday, 75, so temperatures kind of jumping around there. And then as we head into next week, starting off our week with 80s and possible chances of rain, and then 60s and 70s for the rest of the weekdays. Lows in the 50s, 40s, and possibly upper 30s. We might touch 30s next week, but overall lows and highs relatively warm for this time of year. And on Sunday, we do have the time change, so that means we will be moving our clocks forward 1 hour. This moves our sunrise to 8 o'clock and our sunset to around 7:50. So just a reminder to move your clocks back, move them forward. I'm Elizabeth, and it's back to y'all.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Texas Tech Athletics won't have to worry about today's weather for any outdoor competitions, but that doesn't mean there still isn't plenty of action on this weekend's calendar.
MCTV's Trinity Boudreaux has a look at the upcoming schedule along with the latest details on one team's hopes to secure a conference championship in sports. Trinity?
Thank you, Elene and Pedro. Texas Tech Athletics has a packed weekend coming up featuring the start of the Women's Big 12 basketball tournament, a men's basketball game, the start of conference play for softball, as well as a home baseball series. Let's start with women's basketball. The Women's Big 12 basketball tournament is underway. The number 21 ranked Lady Raiders headed to Kansas City to compete in the Phillips 66 tournament. Texas Tech is seeded number 5 and received a first-round bye, and they played their first game today at 11 against number 12 Kansas State. The Lady Raiders started off hot, but adversity struck as the Red and Black had a 14-point lead over Kansas State in the beginning of the fourth quarter. But in the final 9 minutes of the game, the Wildcats went on a 21-0 scoring run. The Lady Raiders only scored 4 points in the fourth quarter as Kansas State scored 21, their most in a quarter this game. The Lady Raiders were 6 for 23 on three-pointers and 13 for 17 on free throws. Snutta Collins led the team with 14 points, Sarangbe Sanago led with 7 rebounds, and Sydney Love led with 2 assists. The Lady Raiders will now have to wait until Sunday, March 15th for the NCAA selection show to find out when and where they will play in the women's basketball tournament. After coming off of a huge win over then number 4 ranked Iowa State and an exciting road win, the number 10 Red Raiders unfortunately lost in the home game finale against unranked TCU Tuesday night 65-73. Senior Donovan Atwell led the Red Raiders with 19 points after making 5 three-pointers, while Jalen Petty scored 17 points, matching a career high with 5 three-pointers as well. Christian Anderson added 11 points and 9 assists, and Josiah Mosley also added 8 points with 6 rebounds and 2 blocked shots. Petty finished the game shooting 5 of 7 on three-pointers for the Red Raiders, who are 11 of 32 for 34.4% as a team from beyond the arc. TCU finished the game with a 16-7 advantage on offensive rebounds and had an 18-11 scoring advantage off of turnovers. Inside, the Horned Frogs outscored the Red Raiders by a 38-22 margin in the paint. This was the Red Raiders' 4th game without All-American J.T. Toppin and only their first loss since his injury. This now puts Texas Tech at 22-8 on the season and 12-5 in Big 12 play. Up next, the Red and Black will close out the regular season with a road game against BYU in Utah Saturday night with a tip-off set at 9:30. Tech hopes to end the regular season with a win entering Big 12 Championship Week, which will be from March 10th to the 14th. The number 2 ranked Texas Tech women's softball team will begin their conference play this weekend with an away series against Houston. Game 1 of the series will be Friday night with a first pitch set at 6, then a second game Saturday afternoon at 3, and then the series will end Sunday afternoon with the finale at 1. The Lady Raiders are entering this weekend with a 22-1 record, as well as coming off of 2 no-hitters from this past Saturday and multiple shutout wins from this season, while the Cougars are currently 15-7. On Tuesday, the Big 12 released their weekly awards, which featured Caitlin Terry being named Player of the Week after putting up dominant numbers during Texas Tech's home opening weekend. Terry led the team at the plate, smashing an eye-popping 769 batting average with a 1.462 slugging percentage and 850 on-base percentage. She racked up 10 hits, drove in 9 runs, and totaled 19 bases, and she didn't stop there. In the circle, Terry went 3-0 with a 1.31 ERA, pitching her second no-hitter of the season. Meanwhile, Nigeri Kennedy earned Pitcher of the Week honors. Kennedy was dominant, allowing just 1 hit across 10 innings of work. She threw her second no-hitter of her Texas Tech career against Texas A&M Corpus Christi and struck out a season-high 13 batters in the process. Kennedy finished the weekend 2-0 in the circle and even contributed at the plate, going 2 for 5 with a single and a double. Texas Tech baseball will host their third series this season against Penn State this weekend. The first game will be Friday night at 6:30, then play will continue Saturday afternoon at 2, and then they will close out the weekend Sunday at 1. The Red Raiders are currently 7-4 with a 7-game winning streak ending after this past Sunday's afternoon loss to CSU Bakerfield. Before that, Tech run-ruled the Roadrunners during Friday and Saturday's games. Freshman Lincoln Garcia currently leads the team in batting average with a .400, 20 RBIs, 18 hits with 32 total bases. That's all for Texas Tech Sports. Back to you, Pedro and Elene.
Thanks, Trinity. As we've mentioned a few times today, spring break is just around the corner, and students are already counting down to the days to next Friday.
Most students already have their whole week planned and are waiting for classes to end. But if you're just trying to find a way to get out of town, there still is an option available to take you to some popular destinations around the Lone Star State. Limited tickets remain for spring break bus trips provided by Parent and Family Relations partners through breakshuttle.com. This year's options include stops in Austin, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, but there are just a few choices left. One-way tickets are still available to and from Austin and San Antonio or to Dallas, but no tickets remain for the Houston trips. Buses leave campus on Saturday, March 14th, with the return trips to Lubbock scheduled on the following Sunday, March 22nd. All trips leave from Texas Tech will take off at 9 a.m. from the R11 band lot, located behind the sub. Right now, all remaining tickets are $155 to or from Austin and San Antonio, or for the ride to Dallas. But students traveling to the Metroplex will need to find an alternative option to get back to Lubbock. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit breakshuttle.com.
So, LNA, can you believe that the start of spring break is just over a week away?
No, I cannot. What about you?
I'm excited for it.
Me too.
That's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you next week.